Welcome everybody to the Casual Football Friends Show, where we have big news, and by big news I mean news that came out yesterday, and we're talking about it. This is our reaction video because we've officially got the Tooch.
We got the Tooch. Tooch is ours.
We finally
Tooch it away.
We got the Tooch. I can't believe it. We were literally talking about this the day before this then got announced.
It is so mad because we literally did an episode and we did go into a topic about who could be the next England manager, and we were actually saying we'd like Thomas Tuchel to get the job, but it's happened.
I'm pleasantly satisfied. You know, obviously we were both saying choice number one would obviously have been Guardiola. That would have been two. I feel like that would have been like two in our dreams kind of situation. And his City future is still unresolved. Whereas I appreciate, like with the FA, they knew they needed to get a decision in relatively soon, especially when it comes to Lee Carsley. And you know his future is like you gotta show him enough respect at the same time. So you can't have him hanging around for like a year and then being like, oh, by the way, you don't got the job.
No.
So let's talk about Tuchel. I mean, I'm quite happy about this. What do you think?
I mean, I think what I think about this is obviously it's great news, but finally, for the first time in ages, the FA. I feel like they've got some ambition for the first time in a while. I mean, Southgate was good, but he was like kind of like a safety net. He was like a safe choice. We'll keep him in there. And they've kind of had safe choices. They tried to be a bit ambitious when they got in Capello. But ever since then, what happens is they're getting someone good, and then they'll go, let's play it safe because we kind of fucked it up a little bit. But so they had Sven. And then Sven was all right. And then they thought, let's play it safe. Let's get in Steve McLaren. And then we failed to qualify for Euro 2008. So we thought, let's try and be ambitious now. We'll get Fabio Capello. And then we had a disaster of a World Cup. But then thought we'll play it safe. They got in Roy Hodgson. and then Southgate. And you know what? Southgate, credit to him.
Did really well.
And you know what? I'm really glad that we've got Tuchel. Is it Tuchel or Tuchel? A lot of people have been saying it differently.
I don't know, because in the episode the other day, I kept saying Tuchel, and I went, I don't know, Tuchel, and I went, is it even pronounced that way? So I'm just settling on the Tooch. I'm gonna go just
the Tooch.
He's the Tooch.
Yeah, the Tooch. Yeah. We'll just call him the Tooch.
Yeah.
And the thing is, though, I really like that we've got the Tooch now. Because when Southgate got England, that was a broken England. Yeah. That was England that we thought we're not going to get anywhere. We'll be lucky to qualify for a tournament. And then fair play to Southgate. He got us that pride that we got us into finals. But when we first got us into a semi-final at a World Cup, then he got us into a final of the Euros. Okay, the last World Cup we didn't do as great. We got to a quarter-final, but still got to a quarter-final. It's better than what we were doing beforehand. And then it got us to another final. So we've got a squad. We're like, this squad can get us to a final. But the squad's there. We just needed that manager just to get us over the line. That's all we needed. And we've got the Tooch. And the Tooch is the guy who will probably get that little bit of extra that will just get us over the line. So I think the timing's great, the manager's great, and I'm buzzing to see what the Tooch is going to do.
Yeah, because the Tooch is coming in on intent. It's so funny saying it like mid-conversation, just going, like, the Tooch. The Tooch is coming in.
The Tooch is coming in. The Tooch.
The Tooch is coming home. So he's coming in January. So Carsley will officially still be interim manager until then, and the Tooch's first couple of games are going to be the March games. As I said, I'm pleasantly surprised. I think here when he was announced, sort of like rumored to be close talks. I think we were talking about it on the day. Just I'm glad we finally have somebody who's kind of got a little bit of repertoire in recent years. I think Southgate has done such an amazing job, and he's made a lot of this country give a shit about the England football team again. And
exactly.
And the thing is, like, you know, he took that 2018 team, which I'd argue didn't really have that many like superstars, and he still got them to a semi. He got the 2020 team to the final there, and obviously, you know, the team in the summer I think were better than Spain. I think they should have won that game.
Yeah.
But credit to him, like, he's still got results, and I think he is, as of yet, the second most successful England manager of all time. So fair play to Gareth Southgate. I think he should be knighted. But moving on to somebody who has that repertoire behind him, who's won Champions League, a Champions League, who's won titles in various countries, I think it could be the final piece of the jigsaw, because when you look at where ultimately Southgate's teams fell down, it wasn't in terms of like because of togetherness. It wasn't because of the culture.
Oh no!
It was because of the in match minute to minute decisions. He didn't quite get it right, and I think somebody like Tuchel, as long as he doesn't disrupt, which is kind of what Capello supposedly did, which is you don't treat the players as well as they like to be treated, and you outright ban them from certain things. If you're a what do they call it, a disciplinarian, that kind of manager can put people off, especially the younger generation. I think Tuchel, he's known to be a bit of a nutter, but I think in terms of like a passionate kind of guy, like somebody who would basically fight for you on the touchline, like literally fight. Like I was looking it up before this. There's a compilation of like Tuchel having fights on the touchline. It's great. I love it, and it makes me think. When he when he did that handshake with Antonio Conte and then like leaned in and they had like a scuffle, and I'm like, I want this person this person wants to fight for our country, like not literally, but like on the touchline, he's scrapping it out with the Spain manager. I think this is great. I think. Weirdly, he's been pinned as being a defensive coach, which I think...
He's never been... No, he's not. He's not a defensive coach at all.
Well, this is the thing. So people were talking... I saw an interview with Dean Ashton, right, on Sky. Because Sky, like, they'll get, like, the opinion of somebody who's never played international football to...
Of course, because they're the opinions we need to hear.
Yeah, like, oh, hey, Jay Bothroyd, what do you think? And it's like, well, he played one game for England, even though he was in the Championship most of his career. But they asked Dean Ashton what he's thinking, and he's like, I'm underwhelmed because Tuchel is a defensive coach, and it's like the reason they keep saying that is because his teams notoriously don't concede very many goals. So I'd argue that's not him being a defensive coach, that's him having structure to his team.
Yeah. And it's like, if we go like, because he took that Chelsea team to the final of the Champions League.
They were not a good team, and he managed to win the Champions League with them.
Exactly. They were not meant to be anywhere near that final.
No.
But he took them to that Champions League final, and they beat Man City, who were the odds-on favourite. You put your house on Man City winning that final.
Yeah.
Okay, granted, Pep made a couple of mistakes in that final, but the Tooch got the job done. Tuchel managed to do it, but he's so it shows that he can do tournament football, and that's essentially what you need as an international manager. You need to be able to be good at tournament football, and he can do that. And he's proven himself in like different leagues. And one thing I think that gives Tuchel an edge over Sven and Capello from when they came in. He's managed in England already.
Yeah, and I think that's such a key differentiating factor about him, is that he understands our culture. He understands the passion of English fans. He understands, like, he's literally been the manager of one of the, the biggest clubs in England. He should be used to the media. He should be used to the pressure that will come with the England manager job. Obviously, he wouldn't have been under as much scrutiny from the media as Chelsea manager as he will now as England manager, but he would have been under a lot of pressure considering who Chelsea have had in the boardroom. So it's not like he's coming in with no experience of real pressure. He should be able to work this out. And I think talking back about sort of Capello and Sven, it was a different generation, and I think Capello was a really interesting one because when Capello came in, I was genuinely celebrating. Like the day when Capello was announced, taking over from Steve McLaren, I was so happy because I have a lot of love for like Italian football in the 90s. AC Milan, he went undefeated for 2 years with AC Milan and won multiple titles. Literally just came off winning the title with Real Madrid, and then England got him because Madrid let him go. And again, he couldn't make that golden generation team work. But but
it was a different time back then as well.
It was a different time.
In 2010, it was a different type of. There's a different culture within the team back then because they still had the club mentality when they played for England. They didn't, like the Man United players sat with Man United players, Liverpool players sat with Liverpool, Chelsea sat with Liverpool, sat with Chelsea. You know, they didn't have that. We're now part of the England team. We're just going to play for England.
Yeah.
And Capello, and also it's a loose argument, but Capello was kind of coming. He was kind of past his prime in many ways at that point when he came to England. Whereas Tuchel, he's in his prime as a manager right now. He's in his prime. So we've got him at the right. That's what I'm saying. Everything seems to be at the right time. The timing seems perfect to get him in there, and it's exciting news for everybody, really. And obviously, some people are disappointed. We're obviously going to get into all that stuff in a moment, but it's if we look at compared to the other candidates, and we mentioned this because we wanted England to go for a winner. We needed a winner. We needed a guy who's and this is something that the FA were actually looking at when they were looking at candidates, looking at have you achieved anything domestically? Have you achieved anything at other leagues? They're basically looking at your accomplishments. And Tuchel, he's won quite a lot. Obviously, he's not won as much as Pep, but he's done pretty well.
Nope, it's a ridiculous argument even to be like anyone compares to Pep. Nobody compares. Literally no one has won as much as Pep in the last 20 years. Exactly. It's ridiculous.
No, we can't. So Pep's like a whole league on his own.
Yeah.
But it's like, for example, if you're hiring somebody, if you've got let's say you've got two candidates, and you got a good candidate, like say an Eddie Howe, or you've got a great candidate like a Thomas Tuchel. The good candidate is good, and he could develop further as time goes on. But if you need to get results right away, you're going to go for your great candidate. And England are in a position where we've done the developing stage. We've done that.
Yeah.
We did all the development with Southgate. That bit's done. Now it comes to a point where we need to get some actual trophies. So development's done. Now it's time to actually get the silverware. And that's where Tuchel, in my opinion, makes more sense.
I definitely agree with you. And I think, as much respect as I have for Eddie Howe, as much as respect I have for, like, a Graham Potter, I feel like they would also have to develop alongside the team. And whether they could or not would be a question, because at the end of the day, neither of those managers have won anything. In terms of major trophies, they've never managed a top club. Graham Potter managed Chelsea for like 6 months at most. It wasn't a very long time.
Yeah.
And he didn't have a very good time of it. So I would argue Tuchel's experience at all the clubs he's managed Bayern, PSG, Chelsea, and Dortmund. Like, those four alone, that CV is ridiculous.
My only concern, if there's going to be a concern with Tuchel, is he doesn't have a lot of longevity at a club.
And he's only been given an 18-month contract. So it's literally to come in to the end of the World Cup 2026.
Yeah, so basically, as soon as the World Cup's done, they'll offer like, dependent on how the World Cup goes, they'll offer like a renewals. And obviously if he wins it, they'll definitely offer, do you want to renew your contract? But Tuchel, he doesn't tend to stay at a place too long. But then the positive is he's not there too long, but he does make a good impact. That's the thing. He's a real flash in the pan kind of person. Like, he's like, for example, if you look at Dortmund, you look at Bayern Munich, look at Chelsea, even look at PSG. I think he was only really there for like a season and a bit at each one of those clubs. He wasn't there long.
No.
But each time he was there, he managed to win something.
Yeah, I don't know. Did his Bayern
which is the
team,
positive. But
did his Bayern team actually win anything last year? Because I know they didn't win the league because of Leverkusen, but
I think they won something. I don't know.
Did they win a cup? Maybe.
Yeah, but it's he's always managed to make an impact.
Yeah, I was going to say they got to the semi-final of the Champions League, and they beat Arsenal. They just about lost to Real Madrid, even though they had a goal disallowed, which arguably was fine. So
but those things happen, So sometimes we can get unlucky. Like, I think a lot of times when England went out in tournaments when Sven was in charge, it was we were just a bit unlucky.
Yeah.
Like in Euro 2004 when we went out to Portugal because Sol Campbell had that goal disallowed.
Yeah.
We were unlucky there. It wasn't like because Sven was playing shit football. That game, England were actually played brilliantly. Like Ashley Cole was incredible that game.
Yeah.
But we were just unlucky in certain instances like that. The World Cup in 2006 following it, when Rooney got sent off, I think we were just a bit unlucky. Since then, like under Roy Hodgson, we were just shit. We were just plain old shit. That was it. There was no two ways about it. We were just a shit team, and they still kept him around longer than he needed to be.
I will say though, I feel like the caveat to that is Roy Hodgson didn't have a good selection of players. That period,
he was scraping the barrel a little bit.
Yeah, that 2010 period to like 2016, maybe even like going basically up to the 2018 World Cup. England had some shit. Like, England did not have, I'd say, a world-class player because Rooney had somewhat come to the end of his career. We were still relying massively on him. And we did not have... I didn't have hope from any of those tournaments. Like, the 2014 World Cup in Brazil...
God, that was a disaster,
We went out in the group stage, but I remember, like, the main players being from that Liverpool team that bottled the league. And I remember thinking, well, they're not, it's Sterling, Henderson, Sturridge. Like, as exciting as they are, they're not the finished product. They're not, they clearly showed that maturity.
Jack Wilshere and Jack Wilshere,
who never
Danny
ended up
Welbeck
playing
for a period of time.
Well, this is what I mean. Individually, good players, but no one who's like now, where you're looking at it and you're going, "Wow, Kane, Bellingham, Foden."
Oh,
you know what I mean? So I feel Hodgson is kind of hard done by with the availability that he had because I think even the Premier League itself was kind of not doing too hot at that point, and it's only when Guardiola came in, like the quality of football also became a lot better.
It was a weird period of time.
Yeah,
but it's and then that's why I've come back to my point earlier, where it's like that all that period of time from even before Capella, since Sven up until Southgate, England were just trying to rebuild. Even Capella was having to try and rebuild England. They were all just trying to build and build. Whereas Southgate, throughout the time that he was there, and in many ways, maybe it was a good thing that Southgate was there for the period of time that he was. Because back then, you would have a lot of England players where you'd be like, I wouldn't want them to play for my team.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at that England starting 11, I'd probably take all of them. Pretty much most of them. I'd look at them and go, yeah, Bellingham, I'd have him in my team. Kane, I'll have him in my team. Like Trent, I'll have him in my team. Maybe Pickford, but the rest of them, that's the thing. We've got a class, like we've got a plethora of players. This generation, they're incredible, and that's why we've, like you said earlier, we've got that final piece of the jigsaw now. That final little bit that we need. That's the thing we were missing. We just needed that manager with that little bit of cutting edge. That's all we needed, and now we've got it.
I agree. I think it's interesting to see what he ends up doing, especially tactically, and like what system he's going to do to play all of these fantastically talented players all at once. Because you saw Carsley try it at the end there. And I appreciate the effort.
You know what? Credit where credit's due. He tried.
I like a big swing and a miss. I appreciate a big swing, even if it misses, which it did. He still tried. So fair play to him. But what do you think? So I saw in terms of like English managers and how England should have an English manager. There's been, let's say, some backlash to the idea of a German manager managing England. And I saw, people talking on TV, your usual pundits, they were talking about, you wouldn't see any other top nation do this. You wouldn't say Italy do this, or France do this, or Brazil do this, or any of the big ones. And I said, and you know what first thing came to my mind? All of those nations are winners. Like, They've all won stuff. We're not as big as we think we are. The idea that we think we're on par with those nations is stupid because they've actually won stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean we actually talked about this last time about how we're not as, you can be that kind of snobby when you've got a big trophy cabinet. Exactly. You can be snobby like that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look through it, obviously. You do kind of, there is like that romanticism. You do kind of feel like if we're going to have a manager for England, you want and we're going to the World Cup. What the players from England, what the manager from England, we're all in this together, kind of thing. It's like, and yeah, I understand it. It makes sense. But England has had brilliant players over the years. We've never had an outstandingly amazing manager throughout. I mean, the last time an English manager won the top flight was, I think it was the Leeds manager, I forget his name, it was like 1992.
Howard Wilkinson.
That's it. Yeah, before the Premier League was created. Since the Premier League's been around, English managers, they might have won the odd trophy in there, but they've never won the Premier League.
No.
It's obviously, if you look at the people that say like, oh, Italy would never get a foreign manager. Look at the managers that have come from Italy. Mancini, Ancelotti, you name it. There's so many. There's a list of them.
There's been like 4 Italian managers who have won the Premier League alone.
Exactly. Ranieri. Exactly. Yeah. So it's like Italy have a whole pool of managers where they could just pull from. So they've got no reason to look outside. They've got no reason to do so. Spain have had incredible managers.
Yeah.
And so they've got no reason to look elsewhere. So same with France.
Yeah.
France have got managers who've won things domestically and won things with the national team. So they don't have Germany. You name Germany, like they're the most successful European team in national football, international football, I should say. But it's actually, I won't say is that what Gary Lineker said. He said, well, if you can't beat them, sign them.
Yeah.
Then it makes sense. And maybe it will take a German to come over and just sort it all out. And I know a lot of people will say like, oh, but we can't have a German because the old rivalry, 10 German bombers, we can't have that. Does this generation really care about that as much?
No.
Let's be honest. Maybe like this would never have happened like say 30, 40 years ago. Yeah. This would never happened. But now the game's changed, society's changed. The rivalry with Germany doesn't even see us as a rival.
No, because we've not won anything. We don't win games against.
And Germany sees their main rival as Holland. They don't see us as their main rival. So it's just like and we've kind of moved on a little bit from that. Yeah, we might have the odd banter here and there, but it's not going to get violent or nothing. And that's what I'm saying. Like some people were saying that they wanted Klopp to be England manager. He's German, So it's just, I think it's we've all moved on from that a little bit. Well, not I wouldn't say we've all moved on, but it's like times have changed.
I feel like a sensible person has moved on by this point. I mean, the idea that we would be holding like a modern manager's nationality against them because of a war that happened more than 100 years ago, and then nearly 100 years ago. I'm talking about World War One.
I was about to say, it's not that.
Yeah,
but it's still a long time ago. That's 70 odd years ago. The Second World War.
Well, I was going to say because World War One was more than 100 years ago. So
World War One was more than 100 years ago.
The idea that we're holding it against them is fucking asinine, right? Secondly, so I was seeing. He has I think it was 49% of people said they didn't want somebody who wasn't English, 51% they said they did. That's hilariously close to Brexit. Secondly...
it's very Brexit, isn't it? Yeah.
Thirdly...
The Germans have got us again!
The Germans coming over here and making our lives more efficient.
It's all part of Merkel's little plan.
The third thing, and this is the funniest bit to me, right? So and I don't know if you watched the Sky Sports interview with Tuchel earlier today, where the reporters were asking him questions. One of the fucking questions, right? One of the reporters asked him, "If the English national anthem comes on, will you sing it?" And I was sat there like. Did you seriously ask him that? Did you actually? Because they were like, oh, well, Lee Carsley has had a few issues with the national anthem and not singing it, and it's become a whole thing. So when it comes to the time, do you see yourself singing the national anthem? I'm like, bitch, he's fucking German. Why would he sing the national anthem? What are you asking him that for?
I mean, they never asked Capello that question. They never asked Sven that question. It's all because he's German. That's what it is. It's
because of the Carsley thing.
It's this old.
It's because of the Carsley thing. It's because
the Carsley incident. That's what it is.
It's because of the Carsley incident. They're asking him because they were like, "We want to see your input." But he's like, "Why would he sing the English national anthem? He's not English. It doesn't make any sense."
I think people forget he's there to do a job.
Yeah, he's there to do it's a job. At the end of the day, it's a job.
He's there to do a job. He's not going to give up his German citizenship and suddenly become a British citizen all of a sudden. He's not going to do that because then we could argue, well, why didn't all those managers who work in the Premier League do that? It's just he's just there to do a job. Yeah. If he wants to sing the national anthem, fine. If he doesn't, who cares?
It would be weird if he did. I think it'd be really weird if he did. I'd be like, "What are you doing, dude? Like, it's not your it's not your country, but it's literally not your country. Like, it's a bit odd." I wouldn't sing the German national anthem if I was working in Germany and they were like, "Hey, we're all gonna stand up and sing the national anthem." I'm like, "Cool, you do you, man. Like, I'm not gonna get in the way, but I'm not also gonna join in because you don't have an affinity to that country. You're there to do a job." And I think. At the end of the day, right, so there will always be this contentious issue of whether or not it should have been an Englishman and or not. I don't agree. Like, I think just get the person that is best for the job, and we're both on the same page on that. Yeah,
I think if we were in a position that say Italy or Germany are in, or Spain, or even even Brazil are looking in talks with trying to get Ancelotti involved, or Argentina. Although we were one of those countries where we did have a huge list of great English managers, then I might be a little bit concerned about like, well, why didn't you just go for an English manager? We've got so many good ones to choose from. Why didn't you pick one? Why did you go for it? Then there would be more of the conversation. You could be more of that in contention about it. Like if England had won trophies, or we had some great England managers that had won the Premier League, won the Champions League, then you could be like, oh, then why did you go for some German guy? You got so many great English ones. But we're in a position where we don't have that.
No.
We've got some good English managers.
I'm not going to die on a hill. I'm not going to die on a hill for Eddie Howe. As much as I like Eddie Howe, I'm not going to be like, how dare you betray Eddie like that? Firstly, we don't even know if he wanted the fucking job because they did confirm that they spoke to about 10 candidates for the role and a few of them were English. So you would assume, 2 plus 2 means Eddie Howe. But I just think the quality of the English managers available isn't something to have a furore about. I don't think it's like a betrayal of national identity because I just think there wasn't a suitable alternative or an alternative at the same sort of level, and I firmly believe you get the best man for the job.
Yeah, and it's like that, and if anything, that's what shows the FA are actually more ambitious about England doing well. Is they're not just going to pull an English manager just for the sake of pulling in an English manager. They're going to go for a manager who they feel has actually got a good track record, who is right for the job. And they haven't done that in the past.
No.
But now they've actually gone and done that. I mean, I remember when people got really boosted that Sam Allardyce, when he got the England job, and everyone was like, oh, Sam Allardyce. But when you actually break it down, compared to a lot of his contemporaries, he wasn't the best.
No, of course not.
But out of the plethora of English managers, he was up there.
And that's what the problem was for someone like me, because I'm looking at it going, why are you giving it to Sam Allardyce when he's never been a manager of a big club. He was always typically a manager, sort of like a Sean Dyche, who's excelled in like the relegation battle. Yeah, he did really, really well with Bolton. He got them to Europe, and I think that's amazing, and it shouldn't be discredited. But ultimately, he was never somebody who had managed big players. And when he left, I was kind of like, yeah, that's cool. Like, I'm not going to be sad that Sam Allardyce is no longer the England manager. I think he got it because there was always this kind of campaign for him to get it, in the same way that there was for like Redknapp. However, Redknapp I would have been okay with. I would have been like really happy with, because he'd actually managed Spurs and he'd actually managed big name players. He got the best out of Bale. Yeah. So I was like, you know what? He and his style of football makes a lot of sense.
Harry Redknapp would have been good.
I always felt like
he would have been good.
Yeah, when they went for Hodgson over Redknapp, I was very surprised, but. It is what it is. History is what it is. I guess that's kind of it in terms of the reaction to the.
We've shown our reaction to it. I don't think we're going to say anything now, but that's going to surprise people.
But I feel like we can finish it off on one big statement. We've got the Tooch.
We've got the Tooch. That's it. We've got the Tooch. I'm actually excited to see what happens now. Mm-hmm. Lee Carsley did what he did.
Yeah.
But I think England is now in a very, very strong position. and I think we're actually in a stronger position than some people feel. Than some people think.
If England win the next under-21 Euros again, if Willie Carsley goes back to the under-21s and wins another Euros, because you saw how impressive they were, right? They won the Euros without conceding a single goal, and they
which
won.
Is great, which is class
ridiculous. Right? So if they do that, if he does that again, if not necessarily by the same kind of margin, but if he wins another Euros under-21 level, I think there is a very strong argument that no matter what happens with Tuchel, after he's done, Carsley should get it. But let him cook for a while with the under-21s even further. Let him become even better a manager, and then maybe when Tuchel's done, because again he doesn't stick around for very long. Maybe then it's Carsley time. Maybe then.
Well, that's the thing, because after the World Cup, we don't know whether Tuchel's going to stay or not.
Exactly.
But we'll have to see. Only time will tell. At that point, we don't know where Eddie Howe's going to be at that point. We don't know where, obviously, where Lee Carsley will be at that point. Graham Potter, we can kind of guess. But it's, so you never know. At that point, maybe then, in about a couple of years' time, that might be the right time to bring in Eddie Howe. Once that bit's, once Tuchel's done, or unless Tuchel decides to stay, we'll have to see about that. But you never know. So at that point, who knows?
Who knows? Well, I think that's a good place to leave it. Thanks to everybody who's checked in on us on this reaction video, and we'll see you at the next episode.
Exciting.
See you later.
See ya.